who is volunteering with that ecosystem. So I have Alex with me today. Alex works with the Cabal team, and today he's going to be talking about Cabal and telling us all about this project. So, Alex, please, what is Cabal about?
Basically is about group chat. It's a kind of a application and a protocol in a way for group chat. So kind of like if you had Discord, but you don't have to log in anywhere, and you don't even have to run any servers. So like, yeah, peer-to-peer open source, Discord or Slack or whatever. That's the gist.
So, who is Cabal for? I mean, who are your target audience?
In some ways, like kind of a lot of interesting software. We're building it for ourselves because it's something we want. And also kind of groups that work in the way that we do. So loosely connected groups who want to collaborate on something or chat. So we have one Cabal that's for the entire kind of people who are curious about Cabal. And I think that one has 500 to 600 members who have joined historically. And I also have another one that's just literally me and another friend who lives in South Africa, and we use it to chat on all weekdays basically and just keep in touch. And then we have another Cabal for the devs that's just like private to all the devs, and then it keeps going on. Like basically, like there's a new group context, and we want to be able to chat pretty easily. Then we just like run up a new Cabal, and so the idea is kind of to keep going down that path and try to make that process as smooth as possible. So yeah, anyone who wants group chat without having to, remember a new password or start an account somewhere else, yeah, that's basically what it's for.
Oh, that's nice. So that means Cabal can be used as like, similar to Slack or Teams, kind of like a workspace, right?
Yeah, for sure. And one thing that's interesting, at least we think, is that it can potentially work even if you have like, an internet outage. Whereas I know there are people who use Teams, and when for some reason, Teams goes down, even if you're in the same office, you can't use it to like chat or send files anymore. Whereas for Cabal, I mean, that just still works because we broadcast on the Wi-Fi as well. So it kind of has this like small resilience aspect because of its peer-to-peer structure, which is pretty cool.
Is every part of Cabal open sourced, or if not, what parts are?
Yeah, basically everything is open source. I mean, we have a private Cabal to just like chat among us devs and friends. So that's obviously kind of kept to us. But the code is all open source. We're working on a protocol specification this year for kind of the way forward for Cabal, which will help people understand how the project works in detail rather than having to read all the code that we have out there. But yeah, it's all on GitHub at the moment. So github.com/cabal-club, and you can find all our repositories there.
So how is Cabal using hypercore protocol or P2p?
That's a good question. So we started out in the very, very beginning by using something that was building on top of hypercore by the same team called hyperdb, which was a kind of key value store for many writers to use at the same time. But we kind of moved away from that to building on more directly on top of hypercore itself via the Kappa core kind of suite of libraries that Kira, who's also one of the like main developers of Cabal, created. So today we use basically hypercore for each identity. So each participant in a Cabal, like in the group chat, they participate by writing messages to their own hypercore, and then we find other participants by using hyperswarm. And to create the chat, then we basically bundle and index all of the hypercores that we've found through hyperswarm to render the chat. Today, we're going kind of away from some parts of that architecture because we want to have more autonomy for the project and try to get around some constraints that we've found. Like, for example, if you have hypercore today, it can be quite difficult to implement delete of a message. For example, if you write your password in a peer-to-peer system that has an append-only log forever. So hypercore is an append-only log, so that's a problem we want to kind of get around with the future designs of Cabal. But today, yeah, we use hypercore and we use hyperswarm to find other participants.
So how is Cabal funded? I mean, what are the plans to sustain this project? This is a lot of work, and I mean, how do you plan to keep this going?
Yeah, so kind of at its root, Cabal is basically a volunteer project. So for us, it's kind of really important that we can stay volunteer, and so we have an open collective, and we do have people who donate there, and having that open collective has really enabled us to do a lot of cool things. Like, for example, this year we're using it to basically fund a Rust implementation of this new version of Cabal that we call that's going to use the Cabal protocol that we call it, and that wouldn't be possible without the open collective. One thing that's ongoing this year as well is we're part of a grant called NNet's NGI Assure grant, which is helping us to basically create a first version of this Cabal protocol and implement alphas that use the protocol. But otherwise, yeah, we kind of want to stay in this loose volunteer fashion, because when you try to there's a really big difference in volunteering on something and being able to step away from it when you like have a lot of other things in your life, compared to the stresses of running something as a company, because suddenly then you have to make all of your life revolve around it, and you have to really, really, really make a lot of decisions that revolve around money first, rather than the well-being of the contributors or just having fun on the project. And for us, having fun is a really important part of it. That kind of creates a different kind of sustainability. Whereas, like, if you're just having fun by writing stuff, you can kind of do that for a long time compared to stressing out over, like deadlines and stuff. So yeah, kind of a different approach in that regard. But so far, I mean, we've been going since 2018, so yeah.
Can you tell us what the plans for Cabal are for the next month or the next year? What do you have in store?
Yeah, sure. And I just want to add a clarification, like, we don't do any video conferencing. It's very much a text-based thing at the moment. But yeah, for the next year, so we're doing this grant, and it ends this year. So hopefully by the end of it, we'll have a specification that has been reviewed by people outside of the project as well, that describes what our protocol is at a way better level than how it has ever been described before, basically. And by the end of the year, we also hope to have then a node.js implementation of this protocol that can also talk with the Rust implementation. So you could basically, for the first time, have a client that's running Rust and a client that's running Node.js and chat in between them. Of course, it's going to be at a very basic level to begin with, because the network parts are kind of not landed on yet. So it'll be, kind of a basic affair with regards to network, but that's a really exciting thing that's happening this year. And another thing is, we've been collaborating with some designers for making a new website. So that's wrapping up basically this month. So after this month, we'll have the finished designs and then start creating a new website to kind of make it easier for people that are interested in Cabal to find out what it is, how it works, and how they could kind of get in touch and contribute. So those are a couple really big things, and yeah, it's really cool to see these things come together.
That's a lot of work, and I must say, I really commend your hard work. It takes a lot to birth a project and see it grow. Well done, Alex. But what if someone wants to contribute to the project or join the community? How would that
Yeah,
happen?
that's a really great question. So today we have what we call kind of the public Cabal, basically. So if you go to cabal.chat, you'll find one of these long keys that begins with cabal : / and that's the address for the public chat. So what we often see people do is they'll download a client somewhere, and we have links as well at cabal.chat, and then they'll join the public chat and just like test things out, join a channel, write hey. So it's a really good way to kind of just kick the tires, as the idiom goes, or just say hi to devs. If you want to join more kind of as a developer, or if you're a designer that wants to get in touch and maybe help us with various topics, then reaching out to one of us devs would be great. So there are different ways you can do that. The public Cabal is one really easy way, if you can install a client, of course. Otherwise, you can look at GitHub, so github.com/cabal-club. And if you like to code, maybe you can look at, for example, the CLI client, and just see if you find any improvements. Or if you get in touch with us, we probably have some ideas. One thing that's really lacking at the moment is we want to eventually get to mobile, but mobile is like a really hard environment to work with them. So if there are people who are listening to this that are, savvy on the mobile development front, that would be really cool to get in touch with. So basically the GitHub, the public Cabal, or the website. And if someone wants to get in touch directly, like over email, you can find my email at my website, cblgh.org, and then I can just put you in contact with other team members that way as well.
Wow, I cannot wait to see how the website looks when it's finished. Cabal seems like an exciting project. Thank you for thinking about it. Thank you for birthing and nurturing Cabal up until now. I know the journey hasn't been so easy, but I definitely need to get better.
Yeah, thanks. And like, this has been done with friends. Like, I'm just one of the people who work on Cabal. There's also Kira, Nick Warner, Kubo, Ray McKelvey was one of the people who really started up in the beginning as well. So it's a community project as well, and mainly.
But I have one last question. Why Cabal? Who named it Cabal?
Yeah, so basically in 2018, there was a lot of activity around peer-to-peer, like being discussed on Twitter, for example. People were involved in that, using Bico browser and thinking of, how can we do cool things with peer-to-peer? And I was part of this discussion as well, but I was kind of, I don't know, I thought it was funny that we were using Twitter, the centralized service that's now been bought up, of course, which happens with these centralized services. And thought it would be fun and more interesting if we kind of built a group chat and started using that to talk instead. So that's kind of how I took the initiative on Cabal. And then just like a month or two after I did that, we, me, Ray McKelvey, and Kira kind of like joined forces and started working on it together. But yeah, I coined Cabal because it's a short name. It's English for a small group, or like small secret group, and it felt like that would be a fun kind of name for a chat that's about private chat in a group. Like, it felt very natural.
Thank you so much for speaking so highly of Cabal and you're letting us into this world. Is there any other thing you want to say about Cabal? Something I haven't asked, or something important that you want the users to know?
Good question, Kayla. I think. One thing that we in the project think is very important is we have a subjective moderation system that kind of makes it unique. So in Cabal, anyone can be from their own perspective, a moderator or an admin. So anyone can kind of hide other people if they're behaving bad. And and don't have to see their posts. And you can also delegate that power to other people. So if, for example, we're in a Cabal, you and me, Kayla, and I say, oh, well, from my perspective, you're a moderator. So if you hide someone, they'll be hidden for me as well. Yeah, that's just kind of a fun little extra facet of Cabal. And other than that, yeah, I don't know, like if this strikes a fancy, or if you want to help financially, like we have the Open Collective, like opencollective.com/cabal-club. Otherwise, yeah, just visit the website and find the links from there at cabal.chat. So yeah, thank you so much for taking your time as well.